Welcome to The Midpoint, conversations with the extraordinary people building the American innovation economy from the inside out. I'm Patrick McKenna, founder of One America Works. Welcome to The Midpoint. I'm Patrick McKenna, founder of One America Works. Today, I'm joined by Josh Sanchez, co-founder and CEO of FloatMe. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Patrick. Good to be here.
I'm really excited about this conversation, particularly since I've known you for a while.
Yes.
And I've known you since I found out about your company and what you're doing when there was very low signal to noise ratio. And when we first met, we first started talking, you had a lot more customers in your wait list than you did actually live.
Yeah.
And you were really figuring a lot of stuff, but I saw just so much, potential is understating it, just so much opportunity, but also just with your passion and vision. So maybe we'll just kick off with the conversation with, maybe you can just give us an update on, what is FloatMe and kind of where you are in the business right now.
Yeah. So again, pleasure to be here. FloatMe has transpired to become one of the leading, subscription platforms for improving your finances. And really, FloatMe was started out of my personal self-experience with the problem. That was just taking out a predatory loan and having a series of overdraft fees afterwards, and just becoming obsessed with a much better alternative to both. And that was really just being able to access some of the money that you've earned but haven't been paid yet. And, we originally actually started out as a B2B company, and I learned a lot of things and realized we're building a much better consumer business. But fast forward to today, and where we're trying to go is today, we've helped our member base save over $200 million in overdraft fees, with our core products alone. And today that's the advances of up to $50. That's what we offer. Our members call them floats. We offer PFM tools to help you better understand your money, how it's being spent, alert you when you're at risk for overdraft. And most excitingly, we're now working on a product to help people build credit. So really what FloatMe is trying to become is the new for money. How can we provide people with the right products at the right time when they make sense for our members?
Can you, so there's this like initial insight that comes in the name FloatMe, the float. Can you talk a little bit about like what that means and how that kind of led you to starting the company?
Yeah. So, going through the initial research and iterations, the name was really inspired by, two things. One, the cash float that happens between employees and employers, in between, pay cycles. Effectively, employees are lending money to employers that's not going to get processed until payday, right? And then the other side was really around trying to build a household name. I became obsessed with how people now share, can you just Venmo me, or can you just Cash App me? And I think that kind of inspired the name for FloatMe. One, let's just float people the money between their paychecks, and let's just call it FloatMe. So that's kind of how we came about that story.
It's so clever, right? And it's also like what a lot of people need, like they're going to the payday lender because they just need a float. Like they just need $50.
Yeah.
I just need a little something to get to the next paycheck. And you kind of saw that problem and then created a much better solution that was both a good financial business, but also much better for the clients, or for you call them clients or customers?
We call them members.
Members.
Members. So the other big realization there, Patrick, I think is something that we should lend insight to, is when we started, we were actually doing $200, and it was really eye-opening for us to uncover that people didn't really need $200, and to get to the core of what we're trying to solve was really to prevent from the situation even happening in the first place. So one of the big decisions there was to reduce that cap, from $200 to $50, which is much closer aligned with what people fall short on, before payday, or the average transaction that causes an overdraft. So that's another big realization for us in the dollar amount.
And so the way this works is you're a member, so you pay a small monthly membership. Correct. And then for each float, you pay like a fixed amount. Like it's almost like an ATM fee of some sort.
Correct. So to be clear, we have a holistic platform which members pay today. It's $1.99 per month for to access our suite of offerings. In turn, they can get these floats in between paycheck of up to $50 for free. Now, however, if somebody does want that money instantly, we do charge like an ATM fee to get that money expedited instantly. So the free option, it'll usually arrive within one business day. But what we've seen is there's almost imminent need for the money instantly. It does unfortunately cost a little bit more to expedite the delivery of funds for customers there.
And so I don't know about how much you can share in terms of the current scale of the business. You did recently, or in the last year, raise a pretty sizable round. Could you share anything in terms of the size and scope of the business and a little bit about the last financing?
Yeah, what I can share is we're well into millions of members today. In addition, we've raised about 20 on the equity side. So 16 of that came through our Series A in December of 2021, which was led by Foundry Group, phenomenal tier one investor. And in terms of headcount, I mean, we're a team of about 70 today. So that's where we're at. But yeah, that's what I can share in the business. In the last thing, I mean, every month continues to be our best month, and really excited about our next set of product offerings for our members.
I do recall that when we first started talking, you had less than 1,000 members. So
Yeah.
that is a really nice trajectory. So I appreciate that. So you were in San Antonio when you started,
Correct.
and you're co-founder in Cleveland.
Yes. So originally we met in San Antonio, but he now resides and is from Cleveland.
So starting a company in San Antonio, that is what we say in the business, non-obvious.
Yeah.
Right. So can you talk about like why you started there? What were the pros and cons of starting a business in San Antonio?
I think the biggest reason why FloatMe was started here was one, being in the location, learning from the community, observing some of the challenges in the community. I mean, most people don't realize, at least in the city of San Antonio, it's one of the most economically disparate cities in the nation with regards to zip codes. More importantly, we have one of the lower average credit scores in the nation. So I think it was important to start a business that was focused on creating equality within the financial world. But two, it was an opportunity to create a business where it could shine, in my perspective. I'd rather be the star amongst a couple in a city, as opposed to the star in a city where there's going to be several hundreds, if not thousands, of startups in the area. So I think it served purpose for us to start here from a mission perspective, the issues that were residing in the city, but two, to help us stand out and gain recognition, and be in a position to also attract some of the talent within the area.
Now, one of the challenges of being in a place, really a lot of places are like this, but San Antonio specifically, is like having access to a network was right. So that's one of the things that's a real big challenge. Was there somebody in your kind of starting up with the company or early stage, is there a person or an organization that you had access to that kind of unleashed the opportunity? Yes,
several of which. So, one on probably the ecosystem player is it's an incubator for startups, and it's called Geekdom. So it's they tout themselves as a place where startups are born, and it was formalized by former Rackspace executive at the time, and a few other individuals. But really, it was designed to help incubate and foster and grow startups from within the ecosystem. So that's one player that has contributed significantly to our success. The other is former operators themselves, having sold tech companies in the past, and relying on their network and working with them through their network to go about building our business. So there's several people I could name there, but it's focusing on those that have done it in the past, and trying to build a relationship with them.
So there was some local community that the incubator kind of provided, and then through, how did you meet the operators? How did you personally make that connection to kind of build out your trust network to get access to people who have kind of been entrepreneurs before? How did you go about finding them or getting connected?
The biggest thing that I share with people, and I think it actually makes for a good skill set from a founder perspective, is learn how to sell. A lot of my background has been in business development and partnerships, and you can't discredit, crafting a well-crafted cold email. So I think it's part of that, understanding who these individuals are connected to, and working through that chain, to then have that initial conversation. So I think it was more of just trying to sell people on what we were building, and from a founder perspective, it's about building that accountability. So it's those people that you do want to be involved, keeping them informed of how the business is progressing month over month on that one North Star objective or North Star metric that you're looking to grow. So it was a lot of that from my end.
That is a skill that I think is really underappreciated, particularly in tech circles. Just the value of being able to sell. It is actually a deep insight. I'm glad you shared that. Other people should hear that. It's really, really important. In an early stage company, everybody's selling.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have empathy with your end customer. So the customer needs, or the client or the member, having empathy with the problem they're facing. That is like help you actually sell and build a product. And then of course, partners, customers, employees, everybody, particularly the early stage before you have a brand. It is kind of a version of the cold email, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're always selling.
And so was there a moment, you talked a little bit about the 200 to 50, was there like a breakthrough moment where you said, we have lightning in the bottle, like this is it?
Yes. So for us, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it was, realizing we're building a much better consumer business. We started to get a lot of organic interest, from the consumer, only to realize that we couldn't support their employer because we didn't have a relationship with their employer. So we had this organic inbound interest that was happening on this idea of a solution that we were going after. And what happened was, just trying to focus on that organic business. And I think this hones into something founders should pay obvious attention to, and that's just become obsessed with the problem, not the solution, right? Because the solution can be many things. And for us, it told us, solution should probably be consumer facing. If that's where you're getting the organic inbound interest in, from some of the things that we were doing, why not focus in that direction? So that was like a big pivotal moment for us. And it should really encourage founders that, you at the end of the day, you're gonna pivot many times. You just have to focus on what works.
Another excellent insight is just focusing on the problem, right? And seeing where the opportunity lies. We started in B2B, you're in the game, you're kind of building a business in one direction. But if you're not paying attention to that signal, it's saying, wow, we didn't think we were going to be a consumer business. And here it is, the consumer is just telling you, and having that peripheral vision to see it, right? And then having the courage, frankly, to actually go focus on it. Was that a hard decision, or did you just pull you there?
I wouldn't say it was a hard decision, when you're not funded at the time, you're proving things out. You have to do whatever it takes. So you have to make decisions that are going to be best for the future of the business.
So would you say that the capital constraint led to more innovation?
1000%. I try to, and too often you see many early stage founders go for obscene valuations, if not fundraisers. And I think here's where the opportunity lies in and some of the things that One America Works is doing is really on realizing you can build a business on less, and by having less to begin with, it forces you to think more creatively, more efficiently about the decisions you approach to building a business. So I think too often many companies raise a significant amount of money and only to be under the pressure of utilizing that capital to grow the business when you probably don't need all that capital to get started to begin with. So I think it definitely contributed to some of the things that we've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, again, a lot of people see, location and lack of access to capital as real negatives or deficiencies, and you've been able to turn those into assets for building your business. That's really impressive. So I would say that if I had my list, there's a bunch of things that I would think of for this, but just a fun question. So like
Yeah.
all these things, like what is your superpower? What is it? Because I'm thinking of a lot of them. You've articulated a bunch of them, but what would you say is your superpower?
Focus in building relationships. You're always going to have friction in how you go about building your business and seeing that growth and everything. But you have to be able to just take all things into consideration, just make decision quickly. And I think one of our superpowers as a business on the result of having focus is we haven't tried to do too many things at once. We've tried to be, good at one thing. And then, well, yes, that one thing has its own set of improvements that can be made. It's, having focus on time, on that one product and then going on to the next one and doing so in a way where you're not, trying to scramble and do too many things at once. So I think it's focus and building relationships.
It sounds like the 1-2 punch for success for sure. So you're in the consumer business. We're heading into, a lot of people think that next year is going to be a rough year. Even if we don't have like a full recession, it's going to be a difficult year. Now, on the side of the financial services industry that you're working in, there's probably gonna be a lot more people that are gonna be in need of financial help and support. I assume that's something you're planning for. When you're looking forward, like what are some of the ways that you're thinking about the economy? How are you predicting where things are going that might affect your business and other people who are thinking about starting a business in financial services?
I think there's pros and cons to the macro and micro effects of the economy in the context of consumer financial services businesses. So one, I guess you can call it a pro is, the unfortunate truth is that it's becoming even more expensive to live, because of inflation. And as a result, people need to find or have the need to find liquidity solutions to cover everyday needs. And that's where we truly serve a purpose in the market that exists. It's we are a solution where people can get that immediate liquidity without having to get hit with an overdraft fee or take out a loan when they don't need to. So that's where we serve that purpose. In terms of some of the things that we have to be mindful of, and you can call them cons if you will, is the economy places a strain on ability to repay for customers, and that's one thing that we have to stress test our platform for. But I think at the same time, what it gives us a lot of opportunity for the credit products that we're pursuing. And for us, it's not an unsecured credit product; it's secured product. So we remain very optimistic and excited, despite some of the macroeconomy effects next year.
Yeah, I think your products can be more important than ever going forward, for sure. And so think about the kind of financial services industry. Now, it's definitely a lot of legacy products, legacy institutions, a lot of legacy regulations. Do you have a perspective on like where that's going and how your business will kind of either shape some of those rules and some of those consumer behaviors, or will have to be shaped by them?
Yes. So I think one thing that businesses like ours or similar have done is really force regulators to think about jump fees, like overdraft fees, et cetera. So I would think that we're part of the reason why a lot of banks are being forced to get rid of overdraft fees. And I think on the contrary, though, it's easy for a small bank to get rid of overdraft fees when it's a small line item of their revenue, as opposed to a Chase or a Wells or a B of A, when overdraft fees are $1 billion, $2 billion revenue line item for them. I think the confines of the regulatory infrastructure that exists, should exist, because at the end of the day, you have to protect consumers' relationship with money. Beyond that, I'm no expert in it. I just know that we have to operate within the confines that regulators have set out for us.
So one of the big criticisms that founders kind of in the heartland or interior or not on the coast gets is that they don't think big enough.
Yeah.
Right. You heard that. It's always like, well, you're not thinking big enough. You're not thinking big enough.
Fast, yeah.
And I know that's not true with you. Would you mind, like, can you lay out your big vision? Like, where do you want to take this business? Like, where's the 5-year, 10-year plan for FloatMe?
To me, it's kind of like becoming, the Costco for finance, and really the guiding pillars for us are building that name for money. And what that means, Patrick, is introducing the right products at the right time for the right members when they're ready. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's the graduation approach. So, if we've helped somebody prevent from getting that overdraft fee or get money to go to work, can we then in turn help them build better habits? Can we help them become more aware of their finances so these events don't even happen in the first place? Credit is a huge part of how America works today. A lot of our members cite having challenges with building credit. Can we address that pain point? And once a consumer or one of our members has been in a state where they've been able to build credit, can we help them save on other things, whether it's consolidating some of their loans with a better credit score, getting a better auto policy or auto loan, I'm sorry, on their record. So like it's really about introducing the right products at the right time. And I think what Noom has done really well is exactly that. It's curate through behaviors that are being realized. And at the end of the day, yes, behaviors are the hardest thing to change, but I think that's how you achieve success. And for us, it's building a platform that does that in the future.
What I hear you saying, the same thing you said before, is focus on the problem.
Yeah.
Listen to the consumer and be focused. And that's going to build a transformative consumer business that's going to solve problems across the entire spectrum. That did feel like what you were saying. And I love that vision. So as we're wrapping up, this has been this really terrific conversation. Let's kind of just go to the side a little bit, away from FloatMe specifically. And can you leave us with, is there some trend or technology that you're tracking, that you're keeping an eye on, that you're excited about?
I think for me, the elephant in the room is GP3. Being able to rapidly see results from something without much manpower is really exciting to me. I personally mute anything related to Web3 or Web 2.5. It just doesn't make sense to me, but GP3 is something that really excites me.
That is excellent. Well, thank you, Josh, for your time. I'm sure I learned a lot. I appreciated the conversation, and I'm sure our viewers and audience are going to love hearing from you as well. Thanks, and good luck with the next phase.